The email had my name on it, my signature, my department title, my company profile photo beside it like a little corporate witness. It was sent at 10 p.m. to the one client our entire Atlanta office could not afford to lose. And it said exactly enough to make me look arrogant, careless, and impossible to trust. The next morning, half the leadership team was staring at me like I had walked into the conference room holding a match over a gasoline can. Across the table, my rival, Kendra Miles, sat with her hands folded neatly on her legal pad, not shocked, not confused, not even curious, just calm, too calm, like the lie had already rehearsed its posture before I entered the room. What she did not know was that fake emails have fingerprints, and laptops remember what people think they deleted. My name is Viola Carter, and I used to believe the most dangerous person in an office was the loud one. The one who slammed folders, interrupted meetings, copied executives on petty messages, and turned every disagreement into a performance. I was wrong. The most dangerous person is the quiet rival who studies how you write, waits until everyone trusts your work, and then uses your own reputation as the weapon. Kendra Miles and I worked at Hartwell Funt Reed, sized consulting firm in Atlanta that handled strategy projects for hospitals, universities, and private companies that had more money than patience. We were both senior analysts, both up for the same promotion, and both assigned to the biggest client our division had landed in 3 years, Whitaker Medical Systems. Whitaker was a healthcare technology company based in Nashville, but their operations team worked with us through our Atlanta office. Their contract was worth almost $22 million over 18 months, and our managing director, Grant Keller, treated that account like it had a pulse. If Whitaker was happy, everyone smiled. If Whitaker was irritated, the air in the office changed temperature. I was the lead analyst on the project, even though Grant never said it loudly enough for the wrong people to hear. I built the data model, cleaned the vendor cost reports, caught a billing leak in their logistics chain, and found a way to save them nearly Sunday thuns. Kendra handled presentation support. That was the polite phrase. In practice, it meant she took my numbers, made them pretty, and spoke about them like they had been born on her laptop. At first, I did not mind. That was my flaw. I was not naive. I saw things. I saw how Kendra leaned forward when executives entered a room. I saw how she said, "Our model," when the work was mine, then Viola's spreadsheet when a question became difficult. I saw how she smiled with every tooth except the honest ones, but I told myself the work mattered more than the credit. I told myself adults did not need applause for every contribution. I told myself professionalism meant staying focused while other people performed. My mother, Viola Carter, used to say, "Never let someone rent space in your spirit just because they are loud in the hallway." So I tried not to. I stayed calm. I did the work. And for a while, Kendra and I even looked like a team. She bought me coffee once when I stayed late fixing a broken dashboard before a client meeting. She covered for me when I had to take my father to a doctor's appointment. She told people I was brilliant with details, which sounded like a compliment until I realized she only said it in rooms where details meant invisible labor. Still, there was a bond, not friendship, but a working trust. The kind you build when the deadline is ugly and the client is breathing down everyone's neck. Then the first warning came. My name disappeared from a meeting invite. It was a Whitaker executive prep meeting with Grant, Kendra, and 2 partners from the firm. I only found out because a junior analyst named Marcus Lee sent me a Slack message. "Are you coming to the Whitaker prep at 2 p.m?" I stared at the message. What Whitaker prep? He sent a screenshot of the calendar invite. My stomach tightened. Kendra's name was on it. Grant's name was on it. Even Marcus was optional. Mine was nowhere. I walked to Grant's office and asked about it. He looked up from his laptop like I had interrupted a thought he liked better than me. "Oh, that was just a quick deck review," he said. Kendra was closer to the presentation side. "The presentation is built from my analysis," I said. He smiled the smile managers use when they want obedience to look like teamwork, and we appreciate that. "Don't make this political, Viola." There it was, the first cage. A woman asks for credit, and suddenly the room calls it politics. That afternoon, Kendra came to my desk holding a folder against her chest. "I hope you're not upset about the meeting," she said. Her voice was soft enough to pass through HR without leaving fingerprints. "I just didn't want to bother you. You've been so buried in the model." I looked at her. She looked back with the kind of innocence people practice in mirrors. For 1 second, I almost believed her. That was the false comfort. She sent me the meeting notes later. She even wrote, "Your analysis carried the discussion." Grant was impressed, and because I wanted peace more than conflict, I accepted it. Peace can be expensive when you keep buying it with your own silence. 2 weeks later, the second warning arrived. We were on a Zoom call with Whitaker's CFO, Elena Ross, and their operations director, Daniel Price. I had spent 3 nights rebuilding a cost projection after Whitaker sent us incomplete vendor data. The numbers were clean. The savings path was clear. The risk notes were precise. Kendra presented the deck. That had become normal. I sat behind the scenes, ready to answer technical questions. Slide 7 came up. It showed the exact model I had built. Kendra smiled into the camera and said, "When I redesigned the forecasting logic, I wanted to make sure we were capturing the regional vendor variance more accurately. When I redesigned, not we, not Viola, I felt something cold move through me." Marcus looked at me from his little Zoom square. His eyebrows shifted just enough to say, "Did she really just do that?" Elena Ross asked a question about the confidence interval. Kendra froze for half a second. Just half. "Enough." Then she said, "Viola can speak to the technical side." The technical side, she took the ownership and handed me the labor. I answered Elena's question clearly. Elena nodded. "That makes sense. Thank you, Viola." That was the missing piece. Kendra's smile stayed on her face, but her eyes did not. After the call, I told myself not to overreact. I told myself the client had heard me. I told myself Grant knew the truth. I told myself a lot of things people tell themselves when they are afraid the truth will cost more than denial. Then came the email. It was a Thursday night in September. Rain was tapping against my apartment windows in Midtown, and I was sitting at my kitchen table with peppermint tea, reviewing the final Whitaker implementation memo. The deadline was Friday morning. At 12 p.m., I sent my final version to Grant, Kendra, and Marcus. At 7:20 p.m., Grant replied, "Looks strong. We'll package this tomorrow." At 7:30 p.m., Kendra replied, "Great work all. Great work all." I shut my laptop at 7:20 p.m. I remember the time because my phone screen lit up with a text from my cousin Brianna, asking if I still wanted to meet Saturday for brunch. I answered her. I washed my mug. I went to bed. At 17 the next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. 5 from Grant, 3 from Marcus, 2 from HR, 4 from numbers I did not recognize, and 3 from Kendra. My first thought was that someone had died. My second thought was worse. There was an email at the top of my inbox from Grant. Subject line, urgent. Explain this immediately. Under it was a forwarded message. From Viola Carter to Elena Ross, Daniel Price, Whitaker Medical Systems Leadership Team Time. 10:30 p.m. Subject, final implementation, memo. The message read, after reviewing your team's repeated delays and incomplete data submissions, I do not believe Hartwell Fertweed Reed can continue wasting billable time correcting basic operational failures on your end. If Whitaker wants premium consulting support, your internal team needs to meet a professional standard first. I read it once, then again. Then I sat completely still. Not because I was calm, because the room inside me had gone silent. The email was not long. That was what made it dangerous. A fake apology can look suspicious. A fake insult only needs to sound like something a frustrated person might say after midnight. It had my name, my signature, my title, my phone number, even my usual closing format. Best Viola Carter, Senior Analyst, Hartwell Thunged Reed Consulting. Someone had studied me closely enough to know how I ended emails. At 5 a.m., I walked into conference room 12. Grant sat at the head of the table. Monica Fields from HR sat to his right. Kendra sat beside her with a face full of careful concern. Marcus sat near the far end, looking like he wanted to speak, but knew the room had already chosen its weather. Grant did not ask me to sit. I sat anyway. He turned his laptop toward me. The email was on the screen. "Did you send this?" he asked. His jaw tightened. "It came from your account. I understand what it looks like." "What it looks like," he said, "is that you insulted our largest client less than 12 hours before final delivery." Kendra lowered her eyes. That little movement told me more than her words could have. She wanted the room to see her sadness, not surprise. Sadness, as if I had disappointed her personally. Monica from HR cleared her throat. "Viola, have you shared your password with anyone?" "No, left your laptop unlocked." "No," Grant leaned back. "Elena Ross called me at Fourier. Ma'am, Daniel Price wants a written explanation. Their CEO was copied after the fact. They're considering pausing the contract." The words landed like stones. Not because I had done it, because I knew exactly who benefited if people believed I had. A promotion decision was scheduled for the following Monday. The senior strategy lead position. One role, 2 candidates, me and Kendra. Kendra finally spoke. "I just don't understand," she said softly. "You seemed stressed yesterday, but I didn't think." She stopped perfectly. A sentence unfinished is sometimes sharper than an accusation. Grant looked at her, then back at me. There it was. The narrative had found its costume. Viola was stressed. Viola was brilliant, but difficult. Viola did the technical work, but maybe she lacked client temperament. Viola was emotional. Viola snapped. I could feel the trap closing, and still, I did not scream. I did not point at Kendra. I did not call her jealous, fake, manipulative, or desperate. Loud people fight for witnesses. Women like Viola stay quiet because the proof already knows the address. "I did not send that email," I said. "And I want it to preserve the full message headers. Login records, device access logs, and any VPN activity connected to my account from 10 p.m. to midnight." Monica blinked. Grant frowned. "This isn't a courtroom." "No," I said. "That's why we should be even more careful before convicting someone." Kendra's pen stopped moving, just for a second. Small things tell the truth before people do. Grant placed me on administrative leave pending investigation. "Paid leave," he said, as if salary could soften humiliation. As I walked out, the office watched without watching. Heads bent toward screens. Eyes moved through reflections. Slack messages traveled footsteps. The fake email had not just gone to the client. It had gone to the story machine. And the story machine was hungry. That was the public humiliation. Not a shouting match. Not a dramatic confrontation. Just a quiet walk past desks while everyone pretended not to stare at the woman they thought had destroyed a $2.8 million account. Marcus caught up with me near the elevator. "I know you didn't send it," he whispered. I looked at him. He looked scared. Not of me. Of what would happen if he said that too loudly. "Why?" I asked. "Because you were in the shared drive at 9:50 fixing Appendix C. I saw the activity log. Then nothing after 10:02. Also." He hesitated. "Also what?" Kendra asked me yesterday if it could tell the difference between a sent email and a scheduled one. The elevator doors opened. That sentence walked in with me and stood beside me all the way down. A hidden receipt does not always arrive as paper. Sometimes it comes as one nervous man saying one sentence by the elevator. At home, I did not cry right away. I opened my laptop. Then I stopped. If someone had accessed my account, I did not want to contaminate anything, so I used my personal tablet instead. I wrote down every time I remembered from Thursday night. 9:16 p.m. sent final memo. 9:19 p.m. Grant replied. 9:24 p.m. Kendra replied. 10:03 p.m. Closed laptop. 10:05 p.m. Texted Brianna. 11:47 p.m. Fake email sent. Then I called Brianna. She answered on the second ring. "Girl, why do you sound like you're about to sue somebody?" "Because somebody borrowed my name and forgot names come with records." She got quiet. I told her everything. When I finished, she said, "Do not call Kendra. Do not text Kendra. Do not defend yourself in writing unless it goes through HR or legal." And Viola. "What?" "Ask for the raw headers, not screenshots." Brianna was not a lawyer, but she worked in cybersecurity compliance for a bank in Charlotte. She had the kind of job where paranoia wore a badge and got promoted. That afternoon, I emailed Monica from my personal account. I requested written confirmation that it would preserve all logs related to my company email. Device authentication, Microsoft 365 sign-ins, IP addresses, message headers, mail rule changes, delegated access, and scheduled send activity. I copied Grant. Then I added one line. Because the message was not sent by me, I am requesting that no disciplinary decision be made until technical evidence is reviewed. The truth does not need to yell, but it should always leave a paper trail. For 2 days, the office moved without me. Kendra updated the Whitaker deck. Grant sent a formal apology to the client. Whitaker paused the Friday delivery. And on LinkedIn, Kendra posted a soft little leadership quote, "Integrity is how you show up when pressure tests your character." I stared at that sentence for a long time. Envy is abstract. But there it was, wearing a blazer, posting leadership quotes after stealing oxygen from someone else's lungs. On Sunday night, Marcus called me from his car. "I shouldn't be telling you this," he said. "Then tell me carefully." They're leaning toward giving Kendra interim lead on Whitaker. I closed my eyes. They haven't finished the investigation. I know. Then why? Grant thinks the client needs confidence. Kendra told him she can stabilize the account. And still, I did not scream. I did not point at Kendra. I did not call her jealous, fake, manipulative, or desperate. Loud people fight for witnesses. Women like Viola stay quiet because the proof already knows the address. I did not send that email, I said. And I want it to preserve the full message headers, login records, device access logs, and any VPN activity connected to my account from 10 p.m. to midnight. Monica blinked. Grant frowned. "This isn't a courtroom." "No," I said. "That's why we should be even more careful before convicting someone." Kendra's pen stopped moving. Just for a second. Small things tell the truth before people do. Grant placed me on administrative leave pending investigation. "Paid leave," he said, as if salary could soften humiliation. As I walked out, the office watched without watching. Heads bent toward screens. Eyes moved through reflections. Slack messages traveled faster than footsteps. The fake email had not just gone to the client. It had gone to the story machine. And the story machine was hungry. That was the public humiliation. Not a shouting match, not a dramatic confrontation. Just a quiet walk past desks while everyone pretended not to stare at the woman they thought had destroyed a $2.8 million account. Marcus caught up with me near the elevator. "I know you didn't send it," he whispered. He looked scared, not of me. Of what would happen if he said that too loudly. "Why?" I asked. "Because you were in the shared drive at 9:50 fixing Appendix C. I saw the activity log, then nothing after 10:02 also." He hesitated. "Kendra asked me yesterday if it could tell the difference between a sent email and a scheduled one." The elevator doors opened. That sentence walked in with me and stood beside me all the way down. A hidden receipt does not always arrive as paper. Sometimes it comes as one nervous man saying one sentence by the elevator. At home, I did not cry right away. I opened my laptop. Then I stopped. If someone had accessed my account, I did not want to contaminate anything. So I used my personal tablet instead. I wrote down every time I remembered from Thursday night. 9:16 p.m. sent final memo. 9:19 p.m. Grant replied. 9:24 p.m. Kendra replied. 10:03 p.m. closed laptop. 10:05 p.m. texted Brianna. 11:47 p.m. fake email sent. Then I called Brianna. She answered on the second ring. "Girl, why do you sound like you're about to sue somebody?" "Because somebody borrowed my name and forgot names come with records." She got quiet. I told her everything. When I finished, she said, "Do not call Kendra. Do not text Kendra. Do not defend yourself in writing unless it goes through HR or legal. And Viola." "What?" Ask for the raw headers, not screenshots. Raw. Brianna was not a lawyer, but she worked in cybersecurity compliance for a bank in Charlotte. She had the kind of job where paranoia wore a badge and got promoted. That afternoon, I emailed Monica from HR from my personal account. I requested written confirmation that it would preserve all logs related to my company email, device authentication, Microsoft 365 sign-ins, IP addresses, message headers, mail rule changes, delegated access, and scheduled send activity. I copied Grant. Then I added one line. Because the message was not sent by me, I am requesting that no disciplinary decision be made until technical evidence is reviewed. The truth does not need to yell, but it should always leave a paper trail. For 2 days, the office moved without me. Kendra updated the Whitaker deck. Grant sent a formal apology to the client. Whitaker paused the Friday delivery. And on LinkedIn, Kendra posted a soft little leadership quote. "Integrity is how you show up when pressure tests your character." I stared at that sentence for a long time. Envy is abstract. But there it was, wearing a blazer, posting leadership quotes after stealing oxygen from someone else's lungs. On Sunday night, Marcus called me from his car. "I shouldn't be telling you this," he said. "Then tell me carefully." They're leaning toward giving Kendra interim lead on Whitaker. I closed my eyes. They haven't finished the investigation, I know. Then why? Grant thinks the client needs confidence. Kendra told him she can stabilize the account. Of course she did. First, she broke the glass. Then she offered to sell them a broom. That was my low point. Not the email, not the leave. That moment. Because I understood what the lie was really built to do. It was not built to get me fired immediately. That would have been too obvious. It was built to make me look risky just long enough for Kendra to step into the role. Hold the client, take the promotion, and let the investigation fade into unfortunate ambiguity. Some betrayals do not need to kill you. They only need to delay you while someone else walks through the door meant for your name. That night, I stopped asking. Why would she do this to me? I started asking, what can I prove? On Monday morning, Monica called. Her voice was careful. "Viola, it has completed an initial review." "Initial," I repeated. "Yes, they confirmed the email originated from your company account." "That only confirms the account," I said. "Not the device." There was a pause. "We are still reviewing device logs." "Good." Another pause. Then Monica said, "There is one issue. The sign-in appears to have come through an authenticated session, not a new login." That made my stomach tighten. Summono had not guessed my password. Summono had used an active session. A laptop. A browser. A device already trusted. Mine, supposedly. But my company laptop had been closed in my apartment. I asked, "What device ID?" "I don't have that in front of me," I said gently. "Or it does. Please ask them to preserve it." She said she would. I did not believe her enough to relax, so I called Brianna again. She walked me through what to request. Device ID. User agent, IP address, message ID X originating IP, if available. Mailbox audit events, send as or send in behalf activity. Inbox rules, draft creation time, sent item modification time, scheduled send metadata. Also, Brianna said, ask if your account was accessed from a conference room workstation or a shared device. Why? Because if someone used a browser session you left open somewhere, it may show the device name. And then I remembered. Thursday afternoon. Conference room 6. Kendra and I had worked together for 30 minutes after the Whitaker prep call. I had opened my email on the conference room computer to download a file because the screen share from my laptop was glitching. I remembered logging out, but I also remembered Kendra asking me to look at slide 14 before I left. I remembered standing up. I remembered her saying, "I'll close everything down." The memory did not arrive like thunder. It arrived like a receipt sliding under a door. Quiet, flat, useful. I wrote it down. Then I emailed Monica again. I also request preservation of access logs from conference room 6 on Thursday between 4 p.m. and midnight. This time, I copied the firm's internal counsel, Patricia Sloan. Grant replied 9 minutes later. "Please allow HR to conduct its process without excessive speculation," I answered with one sentence. Preserving evidence is not speculation. No greeting, no apology, no perfume on the truth. The emotional swings started after that. Marcus found a version history note proving I was still editing the legitimate memo at 9:58 p.m., not writing a client insult. Negative, Grant told him to stop inserting himself into HR matters. Positive, Brianna helped me draft a clean timeline. Negative, Kendra was announced as interim Whitaker contact until the issue was resolved. Positive, Elena Ross from Whitaker emailed me directly to say, I was surprised by the tone of that message. It did not sound like you. Negative, Har told me not to contact the client while on leave. Positive, Elena's email existed, and evidence does not need permission to be real. On Wednesday, Kendra overplayed her hand. She sent me a text from her personal phone. Hey, I know things are tense, but I'm praying this gets cleared up. For what it's worth, I told Grant you're a good analyst and probably just had a bad night. I looked at the message, a bad night. There it was again. The soft accusation dressed as compassion. I did not respond. 6 minutes later, she sent another message. Also, you should probably avoid pushing it too hard. Sometimes digging makes things worse. I smiled for the first time in 5 days. Not because it was funny, because guilty people always mistake warning for wisdom. I screenshotted both texts. Then I forwarded them to Monica and Patricia, adding this to the timeline. Kendra had tried to sound caring. Instead, she had put fear in writing. On Thursday morning, R asked me to attend a virtual meeting at 2 p.m. Grant would be there. Monica would be there. Patricia from legal would be there. Its security would be there. And Kendra would be there as Project Continuity Witness. Project Continuity Witness. That title was so ridiculous it almost deserved a plaque. Before the meeting, Brianna told me, say less than you want to. Ask questions. Let them show what they have. So I joined the Zoom 5 minutes early. My camera was on. My hair was pulled back, white blouse, small gold earrings, no dramatic makeup, no red lipstick, no revenge outfit. People think revenge should enter the room wearing fire. Mine came wearing documentation. Grant started with his executive voice. Thank you, everyone. The goal here is to review findings and determine next steps regarding the email sent from Viola's account to Whitaker Medical Systems. Kendra looked solemn. Monica looked tired. Patricia looked unreadable. The IT security manager, a man named Owen Patel, shared his screen. He began with the obvious. The message was sent from Viola Carter's mailbox at 11:47 p.m. Thursday. Grant nodded like that settled something. Owen continued. However, mailbox audit logs show the message was first created as a draft at 5:38 p.m. that same day. My eyes moved to Kendra. Her face did not change, but her throat moved. Owen clicked to the next screen. The draft was created during an authenticated browser session on a shared workstation assigned to Conference Room 6. The room changed. Not loudly, but completely. Grant leaned forward. Monica stopped typing. Kendra's eyes flicked down to her keyboard. Owen continued. The session was under Viola's account. However, endpoint logs show that Viola's badge exited the 6th floor at 5:12 p.m. Patricia looked up. Owen said, the draft was created 26 minutes after Viola left the floor. The screen did not argue. It only showed the timestamp. I sat still. Silence was no longer emptiness. Silence was evidence taking the microphone. Grant cleared his throat. Could the badge time be inaccurate? Owen shook his head. Security badge logs are synced automatically. Also, camera footage shows Viola entering elevator bank B at 5:11 p.m. Kendra said, could she have come back? Owen clicked again. No re-entry badge record. Kendra's lips pressed together. Then Owen said the sentence that ended the performance. At 5:41 p.m., 3 minutes after the draft was created, the same workstation copied the text of that draft into a local temporary file. The file was later deleted, but the endpoint detection system retained metadata. The Windows user active on the workstation after Viola's session was locked belonged to Kendra Miles. Nobody moved, not even Grant. And at 11:46 p.m., the draft was sent from a remote session connected through Kendra Miles's company laptop. Kendra's face changed then. Not dramatically. Just enough. The mask did not fall. It cracked. She gave a small laugh. That's not possible. Miles negative 7,421. Serial number ending 19F3. Assigned to Kendra Miles. I didn't send anything, she said. Patricia finally spoke. Owen, was there any evidence that Viola's password was used on Kendra's laptop? No new password entry. The draft was created in an active browser session on the conference room workstation. It appears the email was left as a draft in Viola's mailbox. Later, the draft was accessed and sent through Kendra's laptop using a session token captured from that workstation. Grant stared at Kendra. Kendra. She looked at him with wet eyes that arrived too late. I don't know how that happened. I almost admired the sentence. It was not a denial. It was a hiding place. Patricia asked, "Did you use conference room 6 after Viola left on Thursday?" Kendra swallowed. We were both working in there. That was not the question, Patricia said. Kendra's eyes sharpened. For the first time, the softness left. I may have closed down the room after she left. Owen said, "Your badge entered conference room 6 at 5:18 and exited at 5:49. Did you create a draft email from Viola's account?" Number Owen clicked to another log. Keystroke content is not captured, but clipboard activity shows text copied from a document opened under your Windows profile. The copied text matches the language in the fake email. Kendra's mouth opened, closed, opened again. She looked at Grant. Grant looked away. That was the collapse. Not screaming, not confession. Just a woman realizing the room she built for my humiliation had kept receipts for her instead. Then came the public reversal, Patricia said. "We need to pause this meeting." I spoke for the first time. "Before we pause, I want one thing clearly recorded." Everyone looked at me. I kept my voice even. I did not send that email. The evidence shows it was drafted after I left the building and sent from Miss Miles's assigned laptop. I want Hartwell and Reed to correct the record with Whitaker Medical Systems and everyone internally who was informed of the accusation. Grant's face tightened. "Viola, we need to follow." "No." Patricia interrupted. She turned to Grant. "She is right." That was the first time anyone in leadership said it. "She is right. 3 words can return oxygen to a room," Kendra whispered. "This is being twisted." I looked at her then, really looked. Not with anger, with recognition. Some people do not hate you because you harmed them. They hate you because your work keeps telling the truth about theirs. "You sent a fake email from my account," I said, "and still made the mistake of using your own laptop to finish the lie." She shook her head. "I didn't. The proof already spoke," I said. And I stopped talking, because over-explaining after evidence is like shouting over a judge. Unnecessary. The next 48 hours moved fast. Kendra was suspended pending termination review. Whitaker received a written correction from Hartwell and Reed, stating that the offensive message had not been sent by me and was part of an internal security incident. Grant called me on Friday morning. I let it ring twice before answering. His voice had lost some of its furniture. "Viola, I owe you an apology." I stood by my kitchen window, watching sunlight slide over the apartment buildings across the street. "Yes," I said. "You do?" He inhaled. "I should not have assumed." "No," I said. "You should not have. We were under pressure from the client. Pressure did not write that email." Silence. Then he said, "We would like you to return Monday. Whitaker specifically asked that you remain lead analyst on the project." I closed my eyes. Elena Ross, that woman, had heard my work clearly enough to know when a lie did not sound like me. "And the promotion decision?" I asked. "We're revisiting it." "Revisiting sounds like a hallway," I said. "I prefer doors." Grant said nothing, I continued. "I want my role on Whitaker restored in writing. I want the internal correction sent to everyone who was told I was under investigation. I want the promotion process reviewed by someone outside your reporting line. And I want Marcus protected from retaliation for preserving evidence." Grant exhaled. "That's a lot." "No," I said. "That is what happens when a company lets a lie sit in my chair." On Monday, I returned to the office. The same desks, the same glass walls, the same conference rooms pretending they had not witnessed anything. But people looked at me differently, some with guilt, some with curiosity, some with that strange corporate respect that only appears after you survive something they would have believed about you. Marcus smiled when I walked past. Not too big, just enough. On my desk was a sealed envelope from HR. Inside was the written correction. Official language, careful wording. The email sent to Whitaker Medical Systems on the 14th of September from Viola Carter's account was determined to be unauthorized and not composed, drafted, or sent by Miss Carter. Not composed. Not drafted. Not sent. Sometimes restoration sounds like a boring sentence, with your dignity hidden inside it. At 10 a.m., I joined the Whitaker call. Elena Ross appeared on screen. Daniel Price was beside her. Grant was there too, quieter than usual. I presented the revised implementation memo. No Kendra. No stolen credit. No soft sabotage hiding between slides. When Elena asked a technical question, I answered. When Daniel asked about risk controls, I answered. When Grant tried to summarize my point, Elena interrupted politely. I'd like Viola to finish that thought. I did. And for once, nobody took the sentence out of my mouth before it landed. 2 weeks later, Kendra was gone. The official announcement said she had departed to pursue other opportunities. Corporate language is funny. A person can set fire to a building, and the email will still say they are exploring new paths. But the office knew, the client knew enough, and Kendra knew I knew everything. She sent me one final message from a new number. You ruined my career. I looked at it for a long time, then I typed one reply. Number, I traced it. I blocked the number. A month later, I was promoted to senior strategy lead. Not because I was a victim, not because leadership suddenly found a conscience sitting in the supply closet. Because Whitaker renewed their contract, expanded the project, and requested that I lead the national rollout. The promotion letter came on a Friday afternoon. Grant handed it to me in his office. He tried to make the moment warm. You earned this, he said. I looked at the letter, then at him. I earned it before the fake email. He had the decency to look down. Yes, he said, you did. That was enough. Not everything needs a dramatic ending. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is walking back into the room where they tried to bury your name and making everyone pronounce it correctly. I learned something from Kendra Miles. Not about jealousy. I already understood that. Not about ambition. Ambition is not the enemy. I respect ambition when it has clean hands. I learned that silence is only dangerous when you confuse it with surrender. I was silent because I was watching. Silent because I was preserving. Silent because my anger did not need to perform while the logs were collecting truth in the dark. A fake email can borrow your name. It can wear your signature. It can walk into a client's inbox pretending to be your voice. But lies have bad discipline. They forget a badge swipe. They forget a device ID. They forget a deleted file is not always gone. They forget that laptops remember the hands that use them. Kendra thought my name was the easiest weapon in the room. She thought if the email looked like Viola Carter, everyone would stop asking who needed Viola Carter gone. But that is the thing about receipts. They do not care who smiles. They do not care who cries. They do not care who posts leadership quotes on LinkedIn after midnight. They only care what happened. And what happened was simple. My rival sent a fake email from my account. So I let it trace back to her laptop. She borrowed my name to destroy my reputation. But the evidence knew where to return it. And when the truth finally entered the room, it did not raise its voice. It opened the logs. It showed the timestamp. It named the device. Then it sat down quietly while the lie lost its job. People thought my silence meant I had no defense. They forgot something. A quiet woman is not always empty. Sometimes she is just waiting for the proof to finish loading.